আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি দৈনিক আলোচিত কণ্ঠ দেশ ও জনভাবনার বিশেষ আয়োজনে। সাথে আছি আমি অন্তরা রায় চৌধুরী। আমাদের এই আয়োজনের স্পন্সর হিসেবে আছেন কেমব্রিজ ইন্টারন্যাশনাল এডুকেশন, লেজেন্ড ইন্টারন্যাশনাল স্কুল অ্যান্ড অপটিমাস অনলাইন। দর্শক, আজকে আমার সাথে আছেন বিশেষ দুজন ব্যক্তি, Mr. Rod Smith, Global Managing Director of Cambridge International Education, and Mr. Vinoy Sharma, Regional Director of South Asia of Cambridge International Education. দর্শক, অতিথি সুবিধার্থে অনুষ্ঠানটি ইংরেজিতে পরিচালনা করছি। Mr. Rod Smith, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to ATN Bangla studio.
Thank you.
Mr. Rod Smith, how do you feel today to be at ATN Bangla studio?
It feels it's the end of a long day, but it's been a day when we've met a lot of people here in Bangladesh who are really obsessed about what the future of education needs to be in Bangladesh. This is a really exciting time actually for the country, I think, around what it's trying to do and what it's trying to achieve with education. And I think that we're very excited because we think we've got a part to play in helping the country and young people in this country achieve that ambition.
Amazing. So for our viewers who may be hearing us for the first time, would you like to tell us about Cambridge International Education, what they do, what are their mission?
Yeah, so you probably know as kind of as a provider of qualifications in Bangladesh, but it's a little bit broader than that. The first thing to say is that we're part of the University of Cambridge. That's probably obvious, but I think it's really important to recognise that what we do, we're part of one of the world's great universities. We're a not-for-profit organisation, part of the university, and very mission-driven around how can we take, if you like, help countries and schools and teachers and learners deliver great international education. So we're part of the university. We're the world's largest international exams provider. So we're in 160 countries. We work with 1 million students every year around the world in taking our qualifications and our curriculum. Actually, probably double that are actually taking our curriculum, but at any one time 1 million students are taking our exams. We're in 160 countries, and we work with 30 odd governments around the world as well on helping them look at their education system and see ways in which maybe they can learn from best practice around the world. In Bangladesh, if I can just say, in Bangladesh we've been here since the early 1950s, and we're in about 130 schools at the moment that take the Cambridge International curriculum. Indeed, I believe that you were an alumni of one of those schools yourself, Antora.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
Yeah, and so we're here today because actually this is a really exciting time, I think, for education in Bangladesh. The government has announced a really bold and inspiring program, I think, around putting education at the heart of the industrial strategy for the country. And we're actually here today to launch this week a new entity that we're opening here in Bangladesh to help really grow what we can do in Bangladesh through Cambridge with a business that's actually based here to work alongside people here.
As you were saying, that Cambridge has got a history spanning for centuries, nearly more than 800 years. So how does such a long-standing institution continue to stay relevant with the rapid changing world and the world of education?
It's a great question. It's a great question. Look, being around for a long time gives you a kind of a heritage that you can be really proud of. It's over the years we've built an incredible trust actually around the world in what a Cambridge education represents. The Cambridge qualifications are recognised in 2,500 universities around the world. It's it gives that's built on the trust and reputation. But the truth is that particularly in this day and age, you cannot rest on your reputation. The world is changing. The geopolitical shifts that are happening at the moment around the world, the impact of technology and AI, global warming, the climate crisis, all these are things that are really meaning that we're having to adapt our curriculum. We're having to adapt it because we've always been about how do we help young people be ready for the university, ready for the world. But actually that world is changing so much. And one of the great benefits of being an international education curriculum provider is that we can change our curriculum, we can modify it, often much quicker than governments. True. So actually at the moment we're doing a lot to think about, well, what does ready for the world mean when the world is changing so much? One of the things that means is that we have to think about things like technology and AI and climate, and we have to think about what are the skills that young people are going to need in the future. And that's incredibly important for Bangladesh because the whole thing is how can we help prepare young people in Bangladesh to be aligned with what the vision is for the future of this country. Where does it sit in the world? What are the skills that it needs to grow its economy? How are we going to build innovation? and resilience into young people and give them a place to play in the kind of the way that the world is developing. That's one of the reasons we're here, and one of the reasons why I'm really excited to talk about the future as well as the past.
That's great, that's great. So for the global picture, let's turn our attention towards Bangladesh and Cambridge's growing engagement over here. So Mr. Vinay, what difference will be there if we introduce Cambridge University Present Assessment entity in Bangladesh for the teachers, the educators, schools and institutions?
Yeah, Antra, in fact, the launch of this entity in Bangladesh is a reinforcement of our commitment and our belief in the tremendous potential that the youth of Bangladesh has and the opportunity that this country has. What it does is it creates, we have now a dedicated team on the ground, which helps us provide on-ground superior service and support to our partners, schools, teachers and students. It helps us to provide them the right kind of, like Rod said, right kind of knowledge, understanding and skills to make the students of this country future ready for the workforce. It also gives us an opportunity to engage deeply with various stakeholders in the ecosystem, like government, policymakers, higher education leaders, other education providers, and build these engaging relationships which help us to understand the customers better, listen, learn more, and accordingly, fine-tune our offerings which can help us provide solutions to the local problems and the local aspirations that we have in alignment with the vision of Bangladesh. Also, I think it's an opportunity for us to engage with governments and authorities and also solve some of the issues that we're facing, like piracy of our books and resources. So the idea is that it will strengthen our presence, it'll help us listen more, learn more, it'll help us engage with the local. So the global expertise of Cambridge combined with the local knowledge and relevance of the team here provides a very potent combination for us to make sure that we are part of this growth journey of Bangladesh.
Is the schools associated with this? 130 schools you were saying?
That's right.
They're associated with the Cambridge Assessment Press Center?
That's right. So we have these 130 odd partner schools with whom we work towards, with their teachers and leaders towards providing superior teaching and learning outcomes, which in turn help these students acquire, like yourself, the right kind of knowledge, understanding and skills to be ready for the future, which is very complex and dynamic. So that's the objective that we have. And like Rod rightly mentioned, these qualifications are recognized worldwide by the top universities. So as you know, Bangladeshi students go across the world to US, UK, Australia, Canada, and even the emerging destinations like Japan, Hong Kong, Malaysia. So our endeavor is how do we build the Bangladesh students and workforce to bring demographic dividend to this country by skilling them the right way.
That's amazing. So as we say that at the heart of every successful education system are the students and the teachers. So as you were saying that Bangladesh has got a young and ambitious population. So what opportunities do you see for Bangladesh's students as a part of globally connected learning community?
That's a very interesting question. See, I think Bangladesh today is at a very unique position with a population of more than 170 million, out of which more than 1/3 is in the age of productive age where they can really contribute. So there is a huge opportunity of a demographic dividend which this population can bring to Bangladesh, whether they are engaged outside, abroad or locally. But the question is, how do we do that? For that, it is very important that we skill them in the right way. We provide them the right kind of knowledge and skills so that they become gainfully employed, whether in Bangladesh or abroad, and bring that dividend back to the country. So even in Bangladesh, the way economy is growing, per capita income is growing, industry is growing, there will be a need for a workforce which has to invest here, right? So the idea for us is how do we invest in our resources, trainings and qualifications so that this workforce is ready for Bangladesh or abroad. See, in today's scenario, what we are doing is we are equipping these students with the skills which are globally relevant, like critical thinking, like communication skills, collaboration. So the idea is how do we prepare these students to be globally relevant citizens and globally productive citizens, whether they work with Dhaka or London or New York is immaterial. They will be ready for this world wherever they work.
Perfect. So as you were saying that you are managing globally the Cambridge International Education. So how does Cambridge balance the global standards while helping the students remain relevant with their ethnicity and their identity and their culture?
Yeah, no, really, really important question. I think in the past, international education was often described as being just how do you enable students to travel abroad or travel, and actually the critical thing is that with qualifications that are recognised and respected around the world, that's still the case. But we're really clear that I think the future for international education is to be as international as necessary, but as local as possible. And I think that really reflects the fact that people feel the need to be, yes, absolutely equipped with kind of international mindset and global skills, but at the same time rooted in their country, rooted in their heritage. And actually there's huge amounts of educational benefits in having both of those things brought together. So that's what we're really focused on in terms of building the community here. The key to this is teaching. The teaching itself, the teachers themselves. So one of the big areas of focus for us is, particularly by having a team based here now, is how can we work with schools to really help develop teachers to be able to bring absolutely that global mindset, those global standards that are recognised around the world, but also grounded in the local community. So a lot of what we're doing is around how do we help professionally develop those teachers to be able to make those connections. That's the key, I think.
That's amazing. Mr. Vinay, I would like to ask you that could you give us some examples that the Cambridge University Press and Assessment Centre is introducing to the schools in order to get the teachers introduced with the new system, as Mr. Rod was saying?
Yeah, so I think very, very good question. So I think as Rod mentioned, Cambridge has been associated with Bangladesh for long, since 1954 when Green Herald, our first school, came up here. So we've been working very closely with the schools towards teacher development, and we have multiple initiatives there. So one of the initiatives we have is professional development qualification centers. Incidentally, in Bangladesh we have 2 now, and the 3rd one is coming up. These centers offer different kind of diploma and certificate courses which are relevant for teachers, and they equip the teachers to teach well across different streams, not only in Cambridge but even for other curriculums. Second thing we have is we have a whole repository of professional development programs which we run throughout the year. And these programs are with focus on teaching, focus on assessment, focus on marking, enrichment programs. And these programs are designed to enable the teachers in their part of the journey as they move along in the Cambridge ecosystem. So that's the second. Third, we also have our own resources which are in alignment with the qualifications. So there are also trainings on how to use these resources effectively when you're teaching in the classrooms. So there are a whole repository of teaching and training programs that we have, which we provide to teachers in Bangladesh, which are already being running. As we talk, we have 5 face-to-face trainings lined up in next month in Bangladesh, where we'll be training our teachers on these programs. In addition to that, we also work with large school groups towards creating a customized training programs for their teachers. So as Rod rightly said, teacher training is at the heart of delivering the superior teaching and learning outcomes, and we are really focused on that.
So this question is for both of you. Anyone who feels okay to answer it. So the question is, as you were saying that it's for the teachers, and the teachers are eventually going for the students, and today we are discussing about preparing the learners for the future.
Yeah.
So as we know, the first learning that takes place is from 1 to 5, or when the age is 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. That's a very important session. So do we have any plan for the preschoolers in order to prepare themselves for the world from this age, like 1 to 5? Whoever would like to answer.
Let me answer that question. So look, you're absolutely right. Sometimes Cambridge is known for being an exams provider. It's for that 14 to 18 age range. But actually, the Cambridge pathway runs from preschool, early years right the way through to 18. In fact, we've just launched a major new kind of pathway stage, which is the early years stage. So you can actually follow the Cambridge pathway from 3, 4 onwards right the way through. And actually, that's incredibly important. All the research shows actually that the most effective investment in education is actually in early years. And actually we've done our own studies that shows that a really high quality first year in education actually demonstrably improves A-level results 15 years later. It really is that profound an impact. So yes, we launched an early years program, but actually the whole early years primary, lower secondary pathway now that can be taken in Cambridge schools prepares students better for the exams many years down the line than any other approach.
That's amazing to hear. So as Mr. Rod was saying, that it's a growing discussion, and it's globally increasing, and we are preparing our young people for the uncertain future. When we talk about uncertain future, we are talking about wars and the crisis that's going around. So what skills do you believe will matter the most over the next decade, and how can schools help develop them?
No, brilliant, thank you. I think that, the thing to say, funny enough, we're X minutes into this interview and we haven't talked about AI yet, and in fact I find that almost in every conversation I'm asked at the moment is how do we see the impact of technology and AI going forward, and there's no doubt that there's a very significant impact that AI is going to have, not just on education but the world of work and universities. So we're looking really hard at what is the implication of those kinds of technology driven changes in the world. And we're really clear that when we need the clear thing, the critical thing here is not to think about AI or technology by itself, but as part of the whole curriculum that a young person is experiencing. AI is important, but we also need to think about HI, human intelligence, alongside those things. So yes, let's develop an approach to learning that looks at AI and how it enriches education. Let's think about how that needs to be done ethically and sustainably, not just how it can be done, using the functionality of AI. But let's also think about what are the human skills that we need alongside that, because if you don't do that, AI actually has the potential to disempower young people, to actually, so that they become mastered by the technology rather than themselves being master of it. So human intelligence is critical, and the kind of things we're looking at there is critical thinking, problem solving, communication honesty, how people engage together and communicate, as well as how do they solve problems and how do they think critically about the outcomes of AI. That's important. And the final thing I'd say alongside AI, and this is the critical role of schools and teachers, is recognizing that young people are growing up at the moment in a very, very uncertain world, as you say. In fact, actually young people's anxiety levels and concern about the future is rising at the same pace as the rise of AI and these other technological developments. And actually a school is the place where social interaction happens, where young people can learn in safe environments and controlled environments. And actually that whole focus on well-being, and the school as the community that helps you develop the skills you need for the future, the critical thinking and the problem solving. That's the key thing. And that's why for me, the role of teachers and schools will always be preeminent in creating the environment for young people to be ready for the future.
So on that note, as we were saying, that school is the ground. Mr. Vinay, I'm coming to you. School is the ground where you interact, but these days schools are going online. So what to do on that basis when the schools are going online, like 3 days of online classes and 3 days of interaction? How do you think that is impacting on the students of this generation? One. Two is that on the age of AI and automation, what unique human capability you think will be the most valuable?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think technology is something which we cannot avoid, and it's a very good productivity tool. But the idea is, how do we use this technology to supplement and complement the learning that we are doing in schools? So I think it's always good to have a healthy combination wherein students are going to school, they're learning the social skills, social emotional skills, they're doing the practical work, and also being supplemented by technology so that they can understand the wider perspective, something which is not possible within that context of the physical environment. So that is the right way to use technology, not to overuse, but also to use it rightly. And if we are putting the right guardrails, right discipline along with teachers and parents, I think there's a way we can probably use it to the best of our ability.
Let me pick up your question about the online schools as well, if I may. So there's no doubt that there is a growth in kind of like non-traditional schooling environments. The demand for high quality education is huge. And inevitably, people are looking at different ways of serving that need. But we're very clear actually that what we do is through schools. What we do is about, we do work with online schools, of course we do, and that's important. But also we work with schools for them to be able to use online technology more effectively. We learned a lot through COVID and beyond, obviously, about actually what high quality online learning means actually and what it looks like. And there's a lot of not very high quality online learning that's going on as well at the moment. So the way we look at it is that we look at the way that online schooling, whatever, can work alongside, often with schools themselves, increasing their reach because they can work with more learners in a more remote way because they can use those technologies. But fundamentally, we always come back to the core belief for us that the best education happens in schools, face to face with teachers and face to face with other learners.
So, Mr. Rod, as you were saying that Cambridge has evolved its curricula and assessment model to ensure that the learning process, how to think, analyze and solve problems are important rather than just memorizing. So do you think the assessment itself is changing over the years, in the coming years?
Absolutely. Look, I think Cambridge curriculum has always been around what you know and what you can do. It's always been about knowledge and skills. That's one of the things that's really always been very powerful about it. But as we look forward, I think that, with skills becoming even more important alongside deep subject knowledge, what is the best way to actually assess those capabilities, assess those skills? What's the best way to assess AI capability and ethical, sustainable use? So we're doing a lot of work around that. As you can imagine. We still believe that summative exams are an important part of the profile of a young person, but we're trying a lot of different ways of assessing now. I think that one of the big things that AI will do over the next 5 years, it will enable us to capture much more effectively what's going on in the classroom, not just what's going on in the exam hall. And I think that that's actually what AI can do. Previously, teacher assessment has been very valid, but it hasn't always been reliable. I think AI is going to enable us over the next 5 years to capture what's going on in the classroom, so that when a student leaves school, they'll have a portfolio, a profile of their exam results, their qualifications, but also a portfolio of what they've been doing along the way that evidences the kinds of skills that we're talking about. And that, I think, is going to require a very different kind of assessment, a very different approach to AI. But that, I think, is certainly within I think the next 3 to 5 years that we'll start to see that meaningfully happen.
That's amazing. So as we today are discussing about the Cambridge University Press and Assessment, the new launch. So
Yes.
Mr. Vinay, I would like to come to you. What message does the launch of the local Cambridge University Press and Assessment entity send about Cambridge's long-term commitment to Bangladesh and its educational aspirations?
Yeah. So, as I was mentioning, Antora, Bangladesh is today at a very important juncture with this potential population which is very in the productive age. It presents a huge opportunity for growth for Bangladesh. And Cambridge wants to be a long-term partner in this growth journey for Bangladesh as an educational partner. The idea of launching this entity is how can we have a strong presence on the ground where we deeply engage with multiple stakeholders, whether government, schools, higher education leaders, industry, academia, so that we understand the ecosystem very well. We tailor-make our products and services so as to deliver the right kind of knowledge, skills, understanding to the students here, so that they can become gainfully employed and successful in their careers, in turn bringing the demographic dividend to the country. Idea is also how do we engage deeply with the government towards the government's mission and the vision and help them deliver on some of these large initiatives.
So
We've been here for 70 years, but that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
We believe that we will go farther and further.
Yeah.
And so we're at the end of our program today. So if you could describe the ideal future learner in one sentence, what qualities would that a young person should possess? First, Mr. Vinay, and then I'll go to Mr. Rod.
Well, I would say somebody who is happy, confident, and continues to learn throughout his life. His or her life.
What's your say on that?
I think that's a brilliant sentence. And I think it's so important for the word happy in that sentence. I mean, education is, of course, it's got to be around a young person who has deep subject knowledge, the effective skills, but also is confident and happy in their learning and then ultimately in their life.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us over here at our program, Mr. Rod and Mr. Vinay. So if you guys have any last words for our viewers, you can tell us to the camera.
No, I mean, what I'd just like to say is that this has been an incredible experience so far. This is my first trip to Bangladesh. It is long overdue, and I'm certainly planning to come back because I think the opportunity here, the vision and the ambition in Bangladesh is fantastic, and I'd be really, really proud if Cambridge can play a major role in helping you as a country realise that vision.
Mr. Vinay?
I think I've been here 2-3 times earlier also. Every time I come here, I'm amazed at the kind of energy that this place has and the kind of commitment towards education, whether it's parents, whether it's students, teachers or schools. So to that extent, I'm really energized and charged with the kind of future this country has given all this commitment and looking forward to play our own role in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
দর্শক, এই ছিল আমাদের দৈনিক আলোচিত কণ্ঠ দেশ ও জনভাবনার আয়োজন। সাথে থাকুন।